welcome back to another Just 5 Mins. Goodness me. Well, this should be a 5 mins, literally 5 minutes. It's a quick one because it's probably already big news for a lot of people. But if you're of the Jetbrains sort of fans, the people who make all those lovely IDs, for developers, things like Webstorm, there's Rider, of course, which is the .NET one, but they have loads of other tools as well for PHP and Python and Rust and goodness knows what. Yeah, all these other wonderful things. There's more IDEs than you can shake a stick at, as they say. And they also do a lot of other stuff, things like big data tools, and they've got test tools, test suites, actually, for lots of wonderful things. Actually, that's quite another interesting one. Is looking at their for their testing process. I forgot what they've called it already. Um, I think they've got a few, haven't they? They keep naming things a little bit differently, but they've got all stuff for CI/CD, continuous integration, continuous development, all sorts of things. But they've got some really good test scenarios. I'm trying to find the darn name, and I forget where it is. I do apologise. It's not very professional, this, is it? But then again, you're not paying for it, so it's okay. I can get away with it, can't I? But anyway, back to the point, because that's going to be 5 minutes of rambling right there, isn't it? Anyway, so the idea is, for a long time, I did use the Webstorm a while ago. Quite a while ago, quite a few years ago. I used to use it all the time before Visual Studio Code, actually. And I I think I was paying a subscription at one point to get access to some of the stuff, because Data Grip was another good one as well, for databases, not just any Microsoft one. It was lots of other databases that you could manage, instead of SQL Management Studio and things like that. But again, love it or hate it, when Visual Studio Code came out, I've sort of got used to that. They've got you know, which is based on Azure Data Studio, which is based on Visual Studio Code. I use that occasionally in SQL Management Studio. But anyway, the point being is that the subscription I had for a little while, and then I realized I'm not really using half of this stuff. But I did have an old version of WebStorm, which is the JavaScript web development sort of IDE. And I think my version goes back to something like 2019 or even older. So why am I telling you all of this? Well, interestingly, I've been curious to try Rider, which is JetBrains Rider. Um, they That's their equivalent of Visual Studio, I guess. They might say it's got subtle differences, but interestingly, I've wanted to use it for a while, actually, for all the .NET stuff. But again, it means, put your hand in the pocket and get some cash, and it's probably very warranted. It's probably a very good idea, I'm sure. But obviously, for someone like myself who's just playing with stuff, I mean, if I could sell some software, then that would be a miracle in itself, anyway. But also, then I would pay for a license, of course. But anyway, all of that aside, JetBrains just recently, of the time of this recording, anyway, have released basically Rider free for non-commercial use, and WebStorm as well. Okay, I don't know if they've released any other IDs, because some of the IDs are actually free anyway, aren't they? But anyway, the one that I was interested in is Rider, free for non-commercial use. And again, if I was to by some miracle sell some software, I'd be buying a license anyway. But at least this gives someone like myself a chance to mess around with Rider because it's obviously supports all the .NET stuff, all the ASP.NET, Blazor, Razor. Crikey, how many words can you fit in a podcast? I've already gone over 5 minutes just rambling, haven't I? But they also support things like Maui, which is the cross-platform mobile stuff. Well, it's not just mobile, is it now? Avalonia, WPF, WinForms, Azure, AWS, Docker. It's got, all the usual good stuff. And if you've been using Rider for a while, this won't be of any news to you, apart from the fact that if you're just using it again as a hobbyist, non-commercial, it's now free, as well as Webstorm for the alternative, I suppose, for JavaScript type work. Again, like I mentioned in the last episode, for the Cursor IDE, which is obviously built on VS Code, but and again, I was very protecting of trying to downplay it because it does look really interesting, but it's just that I've got used to VS Code, and there's the problem again, isn't it? It's what you get used to. And it's even more, it's when a lot of people get used to something and trying to change their their way and say, look, this is better because it's difficult. So anyway, ramble over. I did say it was going to be 5 minutes and it hasn't been, but JetBrains, worth a try if you want to look at something for .NET Rider, or for web technologies, look at Webstorm. You can get those free for non-commercial use. So that's what I've got this time. So take care, and I will catch you on the next one.